Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Honor the Feminine podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Ledford, and today, Seyta Selter is with us, and I'm really excited to drop in with her. As you know, we begin each episode with an oracle card, and today it's from the Earth Magic Oracle cards by Stephen Farmer, and what's come forth is the waterfall for effortless. And with effortless, it also brings gracefulness and powerfulness and speaks to flowing around that which may otherwise impede. And as it does, it really shapes and carves the landscape over time. And there's this beautiful idea within the message around being at the edge of your comfort zone and having ease there rather than struggle. And so with the waterfall, the effortless waterfall in mind today, Seyta, welcome to the program.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. So share yourself with us. Tell us a bit about you.
Well, I dive deeply in several different arenas into working with the inner senses and working with people around dreaming and connection through what's perceivable through your inner means around different kinds of aspects of spirit and the ancestors, and an ancestral lineage healing practitioner, as well as a professor of dreaming and psychology and cultures of dreaming at the Evergreen State College. And I've got my hand in a lot of pies around different ways of approaching kind of the unconscious and the unseen. And it's kind of like the waterfall constantly flowing around different things. And I really enjoy a life of kind of a mishmash of projects and different ways that my energy is flowing. My people are from the British Isles and from Western Europe and the Jewish diaspora of Eastern Europe. And I live in Olympia, Washington. And I think that's a good way to start.
Yeah. I'm loving, as I'm having some guests that are also involved in the ancestral lineage repair work, the way in which you introduce yourself as part of your people, it's a newer way for me, and it feels so good.
Mm-hmm. It's really impactful. I feel like almost in my nervous system to bring in my people to conversations like this and hold them in awareness through the day to day. It's really a beautiful shift.
Yeah. Yeah. So can you talk a bit about the dream work and the dreams for guidance? Can we start there?
Yeah, sure. Dreaming, we're sleeping about a third of our lives, and I love dreaming for itself and also as an entry point for people exploring other inner experience, because everyone has the common touch point of dreams for experiences that are like that. And there's a lot of different ways to approach dreaming. I have explored many of them and have educated myself on dreaming and ways of working with dreams. And I love to use dreams for guidance. It's one of the functions of dreaming is as an inner compass, and one can really invite guidance into dreaming, even without a larger spiritual framework. I love to introduce my students in my college classes to just incubating dreams or having an intention for what a dream is going to be about. Just addressing dreams, like, dreams, please bring me guidance on this problem that's up in my life. And there's kind of some muscle building with dream work. The first big thing being improving your dream recall, if that's needed. And then from there, once you're,
that's me. I don't tend to remember mine.
Yeah. And that's just like anything else. If you focus on it a little bit and pay attention to it, it really is like a muscle building thing. There are ways to help improve your dream recall. Interestingly, the most effective one seems to be just having the intention before you go to sleep to remember your dreams. Dreams really respond to you saying, I value you. I want to remember you.
The ancestors feel the same way. I value you and want to remember you.
Yeah. It's a good statement to lead with. For sure. But yeah, once you're remembering your dreams, you can start playing around with different ways of working with them. And I just love suggesting just incubating a dream or having the intent to gain some kind of guidance from a dream. And then dreaming is also so fun. It's never a straightforward message. I mean, occasionally it can be, but I think that's pretty rare. Having this product is a terrible word to use for dreams, but having the experience that you remember in the morning that's kind of in this riddle form that can be really fun or confusing or weird and full of imagination. It's fun to just sit with what arises and work with dreams in different ways, like on the same dreams. It's really fun.
Yeah, so what I hear you saying is, so first there's the building the muscle of the recall, if that's part of it, and then that there's a language to dreams. Is there a language to dreams?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's been noted over time that dreams can be heavily symbolic. Dreams definitely speak in the language of symbols, but not always. I mean, I feel really open toward dreaming and the possibilities of direct communication, and certainly not reducing dreams to everything in your dream is a symbol for something in your life or a part of you. I feel like it's important to have the doorway open to a wide variety of experience that can come through in dreams when our rational mind is not driving, and when the gateways are more open to the unseen to visit. So remembering dreams and just looking at a large body of your dreams can be helpful in kind of starting to suss out, what kind of dream is this? And a lot of times there will be elements of, say, visitation from some kind of spiritual entity or guiding force, symbolic aspects of yourself and your psychology, and just like kind of garbage details that are part of like memory processing and things, which we also know happens in dreaming. That can be present in one dream. So it's really kind of a wild frontier of just approaching it with as much openness as possible, and then just kind of not being definitive about what a dream is about. And dreams are also working in the timeless realm, where a dream that you experienced 5 years ago could be relevant to you today, and also 10 years from now in a different way. And they're kind of potent, packed messages a lot of the time that require more than one reading, or don't require more than one reading, but you can read different things from the same dream at different times and in different ways. And I love doing a dream journal oracle kind of practice, where I've got like a huge shelf of dream journals. I've been keeping a dream journal since I was like 18, and I'm 40 now. So there's a lot of dreams, probably 4,000. I keep estimating. I should actually go and count, but the practice of just hopping to a past dream journal and flipping to a page and reading a dream can be really fun. It's something I do all the time, and it's often quite illuminating. Sometimes I'll flip to a dream that has some element in it that's up in my life right now, or has elements that I'm currently dreaming about that seem disconnected, but are like, oh, this is coming up now. And it's a really fun practice. I love practices that are just really fun and engaging with dreams, instead of having it be kind of like an insurmountable burden of like, how do I work with dreams? Like, it's pretty intimidating because they're like, can be super wacky and you're just like, what? And so just flipping through your old dreams, if you have a dream journal, and doing things like, one of my favorite practices that I love to recommend to people is just bringing anything from a dream into your waking life, something fun, not something from a nightmare. But if you dream about taking a walk by the water, like yesterday, I took a nap and I had this really impactful dream after a dream incubation. And it's a dream I'm going to be revisiting over time. And I was walking from my house out down by the water in Olympia, the town I live in, but it was different than that. And it was about dusk, and I woke up and it was dusk, and I just immediately went out and took a walk down by the water and just said to my dream, I'm going to value something that you presented me by bringing that into my waking life. And I love to just notice what I'm wearing in dreams. Clothing has been really prominent in dreams for me for some reason, and try to wear that. It's one of my favorite things to do. I realized on my walk yesterday that I'd forgotten a part of my dream, that I was wearing a white dress and a life jacket. I was like, okay, I didn't wear a white dress and a life jacket on my walk, but I remembered that detail. And the life jacket was really interesting because I was asking big life questions. And I don't know that I've ever dreamed about wearing a life jacket before. And so that was really neat. But that's a great practice, just to bring something from a dream into your waking life, as long as it feels like kind of a fun or benign detail to pull in.
Yeah, it feels like it gets to then permeate you a bit more, and you get to embody it in this being. Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's a great lighthearted way to really invite your unconscious and your inner ability to perceive knowledge into your waking physical reality life in a non-pressurized, easy way.
There also feels like there's that acknowledgement of, hey, I'm listening. I'm picking up what you're putting down, that type of thing. And I've had that with intuition and with the universe and spirit guides and the ancestors and all the things, but it's this acknowledgement, and there's something really beautiful there.
Absolutely.
For the dream journals, do you journal first thing after you wake? Is that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another way to improve dream recall too, is to have a dream journal ready to go. I like to use a blank, like 8.5 by 11 inch journal without lines, because sometimes I like to draw in there also. Have that just ready next to your bed with a pen. And that's a real invitation for remembering and being able to write something down. And also, you can practice, if you do want to practice your dream recall, have the intention before you go to sleep to remember your dreams in the morning. And then when you wake up first thing, you can get in the habit of just writing something the first thing when you wake up, either how you're feeling or just anything. If you get in the habit of writing something down first thing, that also helps to improve the dream recall. You get in this habit of writing, and pretty soon the dreams will be flowing. Or make up a dream when you wake up. And so that does sometimes trigger memories of dreaming that happened.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. And I know that one of the things that you're doing around dreams is this big project that's coming together. Can you talk to us a little about Nord? What it is? Because I know you're excited about it, and I know it's coming to fruition, and I know it's part of your, it's out of your passion.
Yeah, so listen up, people. There's a big thing coming. A colleague of mine and I, a dear friend that I met in grad school through a series of dreams and synchronicities, we discovered that we shared a vision for a sort of, we're calling it kind of like a Google of the collective unconscious. I mean, that's basically how it's going to function. It's almost ready to start having new users. We're in a beta testing phase right now. But it's an online dream journaling application as well as an index, and it analyzes the word content and sentiment and does all this analysis on entries that you put in there. And it's really exciting because you can keep a dream journal in there and you can choose to keep it totally private or share it with groups. It also has a social media kind of aspect to it where you can join groups and you can have an activity feed and those sort of things that we're used to from social media applications. But it's just about dreams and other dreamlike experiences. And I say other dreamlike experiences because it's the first time we believe that there's kind of an overarching place for dreams and other experiences, like, say, experiences we have with our ancestors in our trance work, or, for people who are into it, like shamanic journeys and out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, hypnotherapy experiences, entheogenic experiences, meditations, all of those things that you would consider a personal narrative of a non-ordinary experience, as we're stealing that term from psychology and kind of neo-shamanism. NORD stands for the Non-Ordinary Reality Database, and that's kind of what we intend it to be. It's a public citizen science project, meaning that it's open for research and for collaboration, and it's a real community-oriented effort. So just as an example, one of the things that you could do is keep a dream journal in there and a journal of your other experiences. And you can say, this is a dream. This is an ancestral experience. Oh, this one is an ancestral experience and a dream. Or, you can do that and put your own tags on them. But it automatically will pull out different things like sentiment, like the language in this stream. It uses language processing software that pulls out like overarching content, and it'll show you, if you keep a dream journal in there, it'll show you dreamed about this person this many times, this setting is this prominent, those kinds of things, to really get a larger picture on your own dreaming and trance life. And then you can also compare your experiences to other publicly reported experiences on the internet, because it also indexes other public records from different dream journaling sites and different databases of inner experience. And we're working right now on building relationships with those different organizations that have those kind of records out there publicly on the internet. So that will be, we'll have the web crawlers going out to continue to gather that information with organizations and websites that we build relationships with. But currently there's like a couple 100,000, I think, entries in there right now, I think from 2016 and 17, that you can compare. Like, I was just looking at Harry Potter dreams on there, and there's like 444 Harry Potter dreams, I think. And like Voldemort is the most common character after Harry, and then Hermione. And so you can just look at big picture things like that, and you could compare your own dream content to the whole body of Harry Potter dreams. Or you could say, let me see all the experiences out there that are public of people having experiences with hyenas. Or I want to see all the dreams that take place in France, or that kind of stuff. So you can really explore around in there. Yeah, it's exciting.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Well, and the Potterheads are onto it, obviously.
Yeah. Yep.
So good. And that's such a beautiful visual about the way things impact a society, a culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah, the implications of this project are huge. I mean, it really could be a scientific way to look at the currents going on in the collective unconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. It's so exciting.
Yeah. Yes.
Can we shift gears just a little and talk about, because you brought up, other experiences, and in particular sort of trance experiences, which is, I would say, the main vehicle for the kind of ancestral healing that that you're doing and that I'm working on, being a practitioner for. Can we talk a little about the difference of a trance experience and a dream experience and some of the nuances there?
Sure. The first thing that comes to mind in the potential difference, or the difference, is that in a dream experience, unless it's a lucid dream experience, your conscious mind is not involved, meaning you're not having the colluding sideline thoughts that might distract you. When you're in a trance state, and trance is kind of a casual word. I take it to mean kind of any sort of inner experience that's focused in some way. I'm not even sure how to define that, but we know from science that the brainwave state that's most prominent in when people are experiencing things like hypnotherapy and meditation and some dreams, the theta brainwave state can be really prominent in those different experiences, and that is a state associated with vivid imagery and imagination and creativity and a relaxing of the body with a really active mind that is not the logical part of the mind being the most active. And it's also the state that we're in from about age 2 to 6, which is when there's a lot of imaginary friends. And there's a real blending in that state of, what you're experiencing with imagery and perception that seems very real. It can seem very real. And so, but in that state, especially as adults, we still tend to have our mind get in the way, so to speak, and question what's happening and have the experience of it being effortful to try to get your rational mind and doubting mind or thoughts from the day out of the way. And that just doesn't happen in dreaming. You may have those thoughts going on, but they tend to show up as dream content.
Right.
And you're having a primary experience of the dreaming state instead of like you're not trying. And so the information that comes through in dreams, although you can decode it and work with it in a lot of different ways, it's kind of this, I don't really like the word much, but the word pure experience comes to mind with a sort of direct transmission from your non-rational state. But I also think they can be very similar. There are many cultures that don't differentiate sleeping dreams from visions and waking state experiences that are dream-like. We tend to think of dreams like, we call daydreams a different thing than dreams. Like dreams are things that happen in our sleep. But I think that there's a much wider definition of dreams that could certainly include all of these things that we're talking about too. But just for semantics, we tend to focus on sleeping dreams to be the definition of dream.
Yeah. It's really interesting as you're talking about it, because I've had some experience with my ancestors as they're sharing like gifts of this of this lineage and all of this. And for me being like, is this for real? Like, are you for real? I can see it poking in. I just had an experience earlier this week where I asked that a couple of times. The ancestor guide was finally like, I think we've done enough for today. I'm gonna let you go process all of this.
Yeah.
And so I can really feel that differentiation of, the more rational mind, like my more rational mind, like wanting to understand and asking questions like, is this for real?
Mm-hmm.
versus a dream state where, yeah, that may show up in the content, but it isn't, it's a different flavor, it feels like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're in a trance state or having an experience with your ancestors, something like that, and some wingnut thing comes up like a catfish in a cave, you're like, okay, that must be really happening because I would never come up with that. Whereas in a dream, you don't have that secondary reflection of, oh, this must be a dream because I never would have come up with that. Well, if you do, you can have that, and that can be a trigger for lucid dreaming. If you notice something really weird in a dream, you're like, wait a minute, I must be dreaming. But yeah, there's a real unfilteredness to the dream images that happen, where we're just not questioning them until later.
Yeah. Can you talk about how the work with healing your ancestral lineages, your blood lineages, how that has affected and weaves with the dream work?
Oh yeah, it's great. Some ancestors, as you begin to work with your ancestors in different ways, like the way that Shannon and I both do, where we're seeking connection and healing and guidance from our ancient, really well ancestors of blood. One of the things that tends to be valued in the worlds of different ancestors is this kind of inner knowledge. So they can teach a lot about dreams and use dreaming as a really good pathway to teach you things, to show up in different ways. And for folks that are engaged with their ancestors in this way, I love to use these dream incubations or intentions before going to sleep to ask my ancestors for guidance. So directing, it's really powerful praying to your ancestors for guidance about something in your life or to continue the healing process. Directing requests like that to the ancestors as a dream incubation for those things to happen in the dream state can be super cool and interesting. I've asked for my ancestors to show me in a safe way some of the troubles in a lineage in dreaming, or for guidance on life questions, and just to kind of do those things and also feel out like what are the pathways in dreaming that I can communicate through with my ancestors, because some of them really have that as a gift that they've given to us, especially those of us who are really interested in dreaming. That may not come from nowhere. And it may be an ancestral gift to be a dreamer and to be, skilled or a good receiver of knowledge in dreaming. And so they can really help us with that and kind of, amplify that and show us different ways to use it.
Oh, I love it. You touched on something and you mentioned it earlier in the interview too, but you just mentioned it again around the intentions of a safe way. And so can we talk about safety around all of this for just a moment? Just touch on it.
Yeah, it's important in a culture like ours where we're in general pretty uneducated about the things going on in the unseen realms. We tend to deflate our experiences that happen, that we perceive in an inner way, into psychological experiences, and not necessarily value that there may be a lot more to the picture and other autonomous beings that are involved. And they don't always have the best intentions for us. Maybe they're not, targeting us specifically. Maybe they are, but just they might not be safe to relate with. And so safety is important. And I mentioned safety with the ancestors because the ancestors are not all well. And a good way to begin cultivating safety is just to, again, use intention to say, I'd like to relate with those things that are safe to me, and just have an awareness that it might not all be, love and light out there. Like, we get excited when we dive into these things, and we're like babies getting into it if we don't have training or a worldview necessarily that speaks to the kind of the dangers and the things that can impact us in the unseen. So I think holding an intention for safety and doing any kind of energetic exercise where you're in protected space and calling on those energies that can support you and keep you safe, even if you don't have an understanding of who or what those are, it's good to just ask for safety and protection, and then just check in with yourself to say, do I feel safe? Does this feel okay? How am I feeling in my body? Do I feel secure and good? And just work in these realms from a place of security and feeling boundaried. And there are plenty of ways to work on that if that's not a state that is natural to you in your conscious experience of it. But it's something that is good to cultivate, and is healthy to be mindful of your own kind of energetic hygiene and your own energy space. So it's a good thing to approach all of this kind of stuff from that space. And I love doing a meditation before I go to sleep of just kind of revisiting a sphere of safety around me and just really noticing that before diving into the sleep state. I tend to have less troubling dreams that way and just feel supported. It's a good practice to do a little meditation like that before bed.
I love it because I love that the intention and then the safety has all come together in that like first step as we're headed into sleep. And I think there is something so that the unseen realms have felt really lost to us. And so as we get into connection with them, it feels like been this tendency to like open up to everything because, and maybe that first experience has been this really beautiful interaction with the unseen realms, which is beautiful. And yet opening up to all of it, can do us some harm that we're not really aware of, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, you can think of it like in your waking regular life, you wouldn't just keep the door to your house totally open and just be like, everyone, come on in. Yeah, it's great, without any discretion. Like, that's just not something that we do. And it's good to use those same kinds of decision-making processes about, do I want this person to come into my house? How do I feel about this person? In our non-physical lives.
Yeah, it feels like there's just this excitement, though, of the unseen realm, and so we lose some of that discernment from time to time. So that's beautiful. Yeah. Do you have some final words on dreams and the ancestors?
It occurs to me to state that I don't want people to have a kind of a fear of diving in there with this talk of safety. And I really want to say that if you have, experiences that you would classify as negative in these realms, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's unsafe. Like, safety is being unsafe is different than having a negative or not pleasant experience. And so I just want to say that it's possible to learn information and explore feelings that are important to come up in your life path in these kind of inner perceived experiences. And so I don't want to have anyone leave this conversation with the thought that anything negative that happens is unsafe, if that makes sense.
Oh, I think that's a beautiful discernment that, as we move through and really feel more, not all of it's love and light, and that doesn't indicate that it's then safe.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, that's a beautiful, thank you for that. Because that does feel really important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So are you ready for the random questions?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Let's have some effortless waterfall random questions.
So the first one is, do you have an animal guide that's really present with you right now? Or is there one that's with you always? Either way.
Yeah. I do relate to animal beings, and I often work with crows, and that comes up right now because I saw in my walk that I mentioned yesterday, I had a striking experience of seeing a crow that was freshly dead kind of laid out on a paver stone in someone's yard, and it had some flowers around it. And that really has me kind of thinking and feeling into that. But the crows are very present right now, and the animals that I have relationships with tend to kind of flow. Some will be more prominent at some times and others at other times. But yeah, I'm feeling the crow people right now.
Somehow the dead crow and the life jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Fascinating.
Yeah, and you'll notice my way of working with that dream is being curious about it and just kind of letting it settle. I'm not saying, what did that mean? And that's kind of an example of just being with it. But seeing the dead crow, and I did offer some other flowers to it and spent a moment with it. It was really a part of that experience, and I'm not sure how that permeates, but it was special, and the crows are present.
Yeah, beautiful. And the second question is there an element right now, like water, air, fire, earth? Is there one that's really prominent at the moment?
Yes, magma. A river of fire that is also molten rock. Magma is blowing my mind and has shown up, and it's currently raging in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And it's very present. And it's the most amazing thing to me. Just, it blows my mind.
Yeah. Pele's been with me for the last, year and a half, couple of years. And so I can feel that magma energy too, and the fire and the destruction and the creation all together. Oof.
Yeah, and it flows subterranean and is called magma, and it bursts to the surface, and we give it a new name, lava. And it's got these different ways of flowing around and recreating everything in its path when it reaches the surface of our earth. And it's just absolutely amazing. And it's really on my mind and my heart right now in a really powerful way.
Mm. There's something around that and what you've been doing with Nord, right? Like it's been underneath, it's been a little subterranean, and it's about to create on the surface even more.
Yeah.
So
like
good. So Seyta, how do we reach out and connect with you?
Oh, well, I invite you to look at my lovely website called www.innerlands.org. Mm-hmm. And also, if you want to check out Nord, you can sign up for the beta version of Nord and join our newsletter at nordcommons.net.
Perfect.
It's just NORD commons.net.
And we will put those links on the show notes for this episode so people have a really easy time getting to both of those. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for today. This was such a beautiful conversation, so rich.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Hello again. Boy, it was so fun to be with Seyta. One of the things I loved was how she talked about having her hands in a lot of different pies around the unseen. And it was so beautiful to watch her weave how the dreams and the ancestors, how she works with both. Yeah, it still gives me chills a bit. If you would like to connect with Seyta, and I highly recommend that you do, you can go over to the show notes for this episode 110 at honorthefeminine.com. This episode is part of the Ancestral Healing mini-series that is coming out on the winter solstice. And so episodes 108 through 113 is with practitioners of the ancestral lineage repair work. We've all been trained by Daniel Foor. And so I invite you, if you want to deepen into this work and Seyta resonates with you, connect with her. If someone else, myself or one of the other practitioners, if it resonates, the invitation has always been on this podcast to move in that direction. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Blessings to you and your people.